Imagine for a moment that you are standing on the edge of a vast ocean. The waves crash against the shore, sometimes gentle, sometimes fierce. But the ocean itself remains unchanged in its essence. What if I told you that your mind could achieve this same state of calm consistency, regardless of the turbulence life brings? Welcome to this journey into Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that has guided countless individuals through life's storms for over 2,000 years. As you rest and perhaps drift into sleep, allow these words to seep into your subconscious, planting seeds of resilience and inner peace that may flourish in the light of your waking hours. This hour is not about quick fixes or temporary solutions. It's about exploring timeless principles that have helped people find tranquility in chaos, purpose in suffering, and freedom in discipline. Whether you're new to Stoicism or have walked this path before, I invite you to approach these ideas with an open mind and a receptive heart. What makes Stoicism particularly powerful is its practicality. These aren't abstract concepts meant only for philosophers in ivory towers. They're tools for living a better life, right here, right now. And perhaps, most importantly, they're tools that work especially well during our most challenging moments. The dichotomy of control. The cornerstone of Stoic wisdom might be summarized in a simple yet profound observation. Some things are within our control, and others are not. Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens. These words from Epictetus, a former slave who became one of Stoicism's greatest teachers, offer us a path to immediate relief from much of our daily anxiety. Think about what truly lies within your control. Is it other people's opinions? The weather? The economy? The past? No. These external circumstances will unfold as they will, regardless of how much we worry about them. What does lie within our control? Our judgments, our values, our responses, our attention, our intentions, our efforts. These internal aspects of our experience represent our true domain of freedom. Imagine carrying two bags throughout your life. In one bag, you place everything outside your control. Other people's actions, natural disasters, unexpected events. This bag is impossibly heavy, and attempting to carry it leads only to exhaustion and frustration. The second bag contains what you can control: your thoughts, your choices, your character. This bag, while sometimes challenging to bear, is always manageable. Which bag have you been trying to carry? When we focus our energy on what we cannot change, we drain ourselves of the very resources needed to improve what we can. The weather may force you to cancel your outdoor plans, but how you respond to this disappointment, with anger, acceptance, or creative adaptation, remains entirely your choice. This distinction between what we can and cannot control isn't merely philosophical, it's neurological. When we worry about things beyond our influence, we activate our body's stress response, flooding our system with cortisol and adrenaline. When we focus on what we can influence, we engage our prefrontal cortex, the seat of rational thought and purposeful action. As you rest now, consider releasing your grip on that heavy bag of uncontrollable circumstances. Feel the lightness that comes with this surrender. This doesn't mean becoming passive or indifferent, quite the opposite. It means reclaiming your energy for what truly matters, the cultivation of your character and the wisdom of your choices. The art of negative visualization. What is it that we fear most in life? Often, it's the loss of what we value: health, relationships, security, comfort. The Stoics developed a powerful practice to address this fear, one that might initially seem counterintuitive. They regularly contemplated worst-case scenarios. This practice, known as premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils, isn't about fostering pessimism or anxiety. Rather, it's about psychological preparation and the cultivation of gratitude. Seneca, the Roman statesman and philosopher, advised, "He who has prepared himself for the coming of many troubles takes away their power when they come." By mentally rehearsing potential hardships, we rob them of their ability to completely devastate us if they actually occur. Imagine, for instance, that your smartphone, this device that has become almost an extension of yourself, suddenly breaks beyond repair. All your photos, messages, appointments, gone. How would you feel? What would you do? Sit with this scenario for a moment. Now, look at the reality around you. Perhaps your device is working perfectly well. Can you feel a subtle shift in your appreciation for this simple fact? This is the gift of negative visualization. It transforms the ordinary into the precious. The practice extends to our relationships as well. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus suggested that when kissing your child goodnight, whisper to yourself, "They are mortal." This isn't morbid. It's a recognition of the temporary nature of all things, which deepens our capacity to cherish them while they're here. As you rest and listen, consider, what aspects of your life have you been taking for granted? Your health, your home, the people who care about you, the fact that you can breathe without pain, the simple miracle of being alive. By regularly contemplating the impermanence of what we have, we train ourselves to see the extraordinary in the ordinary. We transform the "I have to" into "I get to." We prepare our minds for difficulties while simultaneously enriching our experience of the present moment. The observer self and emotional distance. When emotions surge, anger, fear, jealousy, even excessive joy, they can overtake us like a tidal wave, washing away our rationality and self-control. The Stoics offer a powerful technique to maintain our equilibrium. The practice of observing our thoughts and emotions rather than immediately identifying with them. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king who ruled the Roman Empire at its height, wrote in his personal journal, "When jarred unavoidably by circumstances, revert at once to yourself, and don't lose the rhythm more than you can help. You'll have a better grasp of harmony if you keep going back to it." This reverting to yourself describes the act of stepping back from immediate emotional reactions and observing them with curiosity rather than judgment. It's as if you're watching your thoughts and feelings float by like clouds in the sky rather than becoming the storm. When anger arises, for example, instead of saying, "I am angry," try noticing anger is present right now. This subtle shift in language creates space between you and the emotion. You are not your anger. You are the awareness that notices the anger. This distance doesn't mean suppressing emotions or becoming coldly rational. The Stoics weren't advocating for emotional repression, but for emotional intelligence. Feel fully, but don't let your feelings drive you blindly. Modern neuroscience confirms the wisdom of this approach. When we label our emotions, we activate the prefrontal cortex, which helps regulate the amygdala, our brain's alarm system. In other words, simply observing and naming our feelings helps calm their intensity. As you listen in this restful state, notice the sensations in your body. Notice any thoughts that drift across your mind. Can you observe them without immediately attaching to them or pushing them away? This is the practice of the observer self, the aspect of consciousness that watches without judgment. With regular practice, this cosmic perspective becomes available to us in moments of stress or difficulty. When caught in traffic, we might remember that we are atoms temporarily arranged into human form, riding in metal boxes on a spinning rock through infinite space. How urgently does our arrival time matter from this vantage point? Virtues as the only true good. What makes a good life? Is it wealth, fame, pleasure, or power? The Stoics would argue that none of these external attainments constitute true goodness. For them, The only real good is virtue, excellence of character. The four cardinal virtues of Stoicism are wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Wisdom is the knowledge of what is good, bad, and neither. Courage is standing firm in the face of fear. Justice is treating others with fairness and kindness. Temperance is moderation in all things. These virtues aren't abstract ideals, but practical guidelines for daily living. When faced with a difficult decision, we can ask ourselves, what would a wise person do? What would a courageous person do? What would a just person do? What would a temperate person do? The revolutionary aspect of placing virtue at the center of a good life is that it makes happiness attainable regardless of circumstances. If good character is the only true good, then a good life is always within reach, even in prison, illness, or poverty. Consider Epictetus again, born into slavery, physically disabled from his master's abuse, yet he found freedom through philosophy. Make the best use of what is in your power, he taught, and take the rest as it happens. This doesn't mean that health, wealth, and pleasure aren't preferred. The Stoics weren't ascetics who denied the value of life's comforts. They simply recognized that these preferred indifference shouldn't be confused with true goodness, which lies solely in virtue. As you rest now, consider what you've been chasing in life. Has the pursuit of external achievements, a promotion, a relationship, a possession been driving your sense of purpose? How might your priorities shift if you placed character development at the center? What kind of person do you want to be, regardless of what happens in your life? This question points to the heart of Stoicism, the understanding that who we are matters more than what we have. Accepting fate while shaping character. The Stoics held a nuanced view of fate and free will. They believed in a deterministic universe governed by natural laws, yet they emphasized human freedom in the realm of character development. This paradoxical stance is captured in Epictetus's famous quote, "Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens." We cannot control everything that happens to us, but we can control how we respond. The Stoic concept of amor fati, love of fate, invites us to embrace whatever life brings, not with mere resignation, but with active acceptance. Friedrich Nietzsche, deeply influenced by Stoic thought, described this as not merely bearing what is necessary, but loving it. Imagine standing in a powerful river. Fighting against the current exhausts you and may even put you in danger. Swimming with the current, directing your movement within its flow, allows you to use its power rather than oppose it. This doesn't mean passive acceptance of injustice or preventable suffering. Where change is possible, the virtuous person acts. But where change is not possible, the wise person accepts reality as it is, without wasting energy on resistance. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." Notice the active quality of this acceptance. It's not resignation, but wholehearted engagement with life as it unfolds. As you listen in this restful state, consider the areas of your life where you've been swimming against the current. Is there a reality you've been resisting that might be better accepted? What energy might be freed if you release this resistance? Remember that accepting reality doesn't mean approving of it. You can accept that it's raining without believing the rain is good or bad. It simply is. This clear-eyed acceptance of what is forms the foundation for effective action within the bounds of what can be changed. Perspective and the view from above. One of the most powerful practices in Stoicism is what Marcus Aurelius called the view from above, mentally stepping back to see our concerns from a cosmic perspective. Imagine rising above your current location, seeing your home from the height of a bird, then your city from the height of an aeroplane, then your country from orbit, then the entire Earth as a small blue marble in the vastness of space. From this perspective, how significant are the daily irritations that consume our attention? The traffic jam, the spilled coffee, the thoughtless comment from a colleague? Even our most pressing personal concerns begin to appear in a different light when viewed against the backdrop of the cosmos. This isn't about dismissing our human experience, but about gaining a more accurate assessment of its proportions. Marcus Aurelius regularly reminded himself of his place in the universe. Soon you will have forgotten all things, and soon all things will have forgotten you. This cosmic perspective helps us avoid what the Stoics would consider the error of giving too much importance to things that matter little in the grand scheme, while neglecting what truly matters: our character, our conduct, our contribution. Modern psychology confirms the value of this perspective-taking. Studies show that adopting a distanced viewpoint during difficult experiences reduces emotional reactivity and enables more balanced thinking. As you rest and listen, try this perspective shift. See your current concerns from farther and farther away. Notice how they begin to appear smaller, less all-consuming. This is not to invalidate your experience, but to place it in its proper context within the vast tapestry of existence. With regular practice, this cosmic perspective becomes available to us in moments of stress or difficulty. When caught in traffic, we might remember that we are atoms temporarily arranged into human form, riding in metal boxes on a spinning rock through infinite space. How urgently does our arrival time matter from this vantage point? Living in accordance with nature. A central tenet of Stoicism is the idea of living in accordance with nature. But what exactly does this mean? For the Stoics, human nature is fundamentally rational and social. To live in accordance with nature means to cultivate reason and to recognize our interconnectedness with all humanity. Reason, in this context, isn't cold calculation, but the capacity to distinguish between what we can and cannot control, to observe our impulses before acting on them, and to make choices aligned with our highest values rather than momentary desires. Our social nature manifests in our innate capacity for cooperation and compassion. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "We were born to work together, like feet, like hands, like eyelids, like the rows of upper and lower teeth. To work against one another is contrary to nature, and anger or rejection is opposition." Living in accordance with nature also means accepting the natural cycles of growth and decay, pleasure and pain, life and death. Everything in nature has its season. Resistance to these fundamental rhythms creates unnecessary suffering. Modern research in positive psychology echoes this ancient wisdom. Studies show that materialistic values focused on external acquisition lead to less happiness than eudaimonic values focused on meaning, growth, and contribution. Precisely the values the Stoics advocated. As you rest now, consider how your life might shift if you aligned more closely with these aspects of your nature. How might your days unfold if reason guided your responses rather than reactivity? If connection rather than competition shaped your interactions? If acceptance rather than resistance characterized your relationship with natural cycles? This alignment with nature isn't about retreating to the wilderness, though time in natural settings certainly has benefits. It's about recognizing and honoring the wisdom embedded in our very design as human beings, our capacity for reason, relationship, and renewal. Memento mori, remember that you will die. Perhaps no Stoic practice is more profound or more challenging to modern sensibilities than memento mori, the contemplation of one's own mortality. In an age that often denies, disguises, or distances death, the Stoic invitation to regularly reflect on the finite nature of life can seem morbid. Yet far from inducing despair, this practice aims to infuse our limited days with meaning, urgency, and appreciation. Seneca wrote, "Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day." The one who puts the finishing touches on their life each day is never short of time. This daily balancing of life's books transforms our relationship with time. When we truly internalize the knowledge that our days are numbered, we become less likely to waste them on trivial distractions, pointless conflicts, or pursuits that don't align with our deepest values. Imagine you had 1 year left to live. How would your priorities shift? What would suddenly seem essential, and what would reveal itself as unimportant? What conversations would you stop postponing? What risks would you take, and what securities would you willingly relinquish? The contemplation of death also dissolves many of our everyday fears. Marcus Aurelius noted, "It is not death that a man should fear, but rather he should fear never beginning to live." When we recognize that death is certain, we can stop organizing our lives around the avoidance of risk and start arranging them around the pursuit of meaning. As you listen in this restful state, consider your own mortality, not with dread, but with sober awareness. This breath you're taking now is one of a finite number allocated to you. This day that's passing is one you'll never get back. How might this awareness reshape your choices when you wake? The Stoic contemplation of death isn't about inducing anxiety, but about inspiring authentic living. It's about ensuring that when the end does come, as it will for all of us, we can say we truly lived rather than merely existed. The present moment. Of all Stoic practices, perhaps none is more immediately applicable than the discipline of attending fully to the present moment. As Marcus Aurelius advised himself, confine yourself to the present. The past exists only in memory. The future exists only in imagination. The present moment, this breath, this sensation, this awareness, is where life actually happens. Yet how often do we abandon the present, either ruminating on what has already occurred or worrying about what might come? This fixation on past and future isn't just philosophically misguided, it's practically disadvantageous. When our attention is divided between what has happened and what might happen, we bring only a fraction of our resources to what is happening now. Seneca observed, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future, not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears, but to rest satisfied with what we have, which is sufficient. The greatest blessings of mankind are within us and within our reach. A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not." This present moment awareness isn't about ignoring lessons from the past or neglecting preparation for the future. It's about recognizing that we can only act in the now. The past cannot be changed, only learned from. The future cannot be controlled, only shaped by our present choices. Modern mindfulness research confirms what the Stoics understood centuries ago. Presence of mind correlates strongly with psychological well-being. When we attend fully to what is happening now, we access a depth of experience and clarity of perception that divided attention cannot provide. As you rest and listen, bring your awareness to this very moment. Notice the weight of your body, the rhythm of your breath, the sounds around you, the thoughts passing through your mind. This simple act of paying attention anchors you in the reality of now, the only time in which we ever truly live. With practice, this present moment awareness becomes less an exercise and more a way of life, a continuous recognition that this moment, however ordinary it might seem, is the substance of our existence. Conclusion: the daily practice of Stoicism. As we come to the end of this exploration of Stoic wisdom, remember that philosophy for the ancients wasn't merely an intellectual exercise, but a way of life, a daily practice of principles applied to real challenges. Epictetus advised his students, "Don't just say you have read the books. Show that through them you have learned to think better, to be a more discriminating and reflective person. Books are the training weights of the mind. They are very helpful, but it would be a bad mistake to suppose that one has made progress simply by having internalized their contents." How might you begin incorporating these Stoic principles into your daily life? Perhaps with a morning reflection on what lies within and beyond your control. Perhaps with an evening review of how you responded to the day's challenges. Perhaps with the practice of negative visualization before enjoying a meal, or the view from above when caught in traffic. Start small. Choose one Stoic practice that resonates with you and apply it consistently in specific situations. Notice its effects. As its benefits become apparent, you may naturally find yourself expanding your practice to include other aspects of Stoic wisdom. Remember that Stoicism isn't about achieving perfection, but about continuous progress. Even Marcus Aurelius, after decades of philosophical practice, wrote to himself, as if still a beginner, "The path has no end point. There is only the daily commitment to walking it with increasing wisdom and virtue." As you drift now, perhaps towards sleep, perhaps toward further reflection, know that these ancient ideas have survived for over 2 millennia precisely because they work. They offer practical guidance for living well in a world of uncertainty and change, a world not so different from our own. May these Stoic principles guide you toward greater resilience, clearer perspective, and deeper tranquility, whether awake or asleep, in calm or in storm, today and in all your days to come.